Go ahead.
I just wanted to hear your comments on the contentious immigration debate that's going on in the country right now.
America is a nation of laws, and it's a nation of immigrants. And what we should be doing is coming up with a sensible approach to meeting both of those ideals, both of those values. The starting point has to be stronger border security. Yeah, but the fact of the matter is that we can't have hundreds of thousands of people pouring in to the United States every year without us having any idea who they are, how they got here. It's not good for our security. It's oftentimes extraordinarily dangerous for those who are coming in. You've got scores of people who are dying in the deserts, victimized by unscrupulous smugglers. So we have to have stronger border security. We have to have stronger verification of employment status by employers. Too many employers get a slap on the wrist when they hire undocumented workers. These raids are great TV and symbolic, but you arrest a handful of folks in a factory, they get deported, the company gets a slap on the wrist, and a few months later or a few years later they're hiring a whole new batch of undocumented workers. So we've got to have a tamper-proof verification employment card that can be verified. Employers have to be held accountable. But the third step that I think is the one that became most contentious is the issue of what about the 12 million undocumented workers who are already here. Now, I have looked at this carefully. We are not going to send 12 million people home. I know that people think we can. Lou Dobbs, is ginned stuff up. But the fact of the matter is that many of these folks have children who are U.S. citizens, or they have a spouse who is a legal resident. We would have to expend all our law enforcement resources in order to round everybody up, load them up on buses, and send them out. It's not going to happen. And so when you say, no way are we going to legalize their status, what you're really saying is, we're going to let them continue to stay here and work behind the scenes, in the shadows, depressing U.S. wages because they're not subject to minimum wage laws, they're not subject to worker safety laws, they're not subject to overtime laws. And that is actually what is most damaging in terms of American workers being able to compete. So what I've said is put them on a pathway where they can earn legalization over the course of 10 years. They've got to pay a fine that for them is extraordinarily burdensome. They're going to have to learn English. They're going to have a job, not have a criminal record, get in the back of the line. They can't get legal status before, they can't earn citizenship before those who are applying legally outside of this country. If we take that approach, and we've got secure borders, then I think we can reconcile those two ideals. And the last thing I just have to remind everybody is, all of us are immigrants. And I know that a lot of people will say, well, you know what, my family came here legally. My family came here legally. Well, you know what? Not all of us came here legally. I mean, not everybody was meeting all these, real tight guidelines at Ellis Island. Not everybody spoke English when they were lining up at Ellis Island. Not everybody who came over after the Irish potato famine had all their papers in tow. I think there were some folks who came across the Canadian border, and probably weren't checked when they got here. So, and you know what's also instructive is when you read the accounts of previous waves of immigrants. When you read about what they were saying about Irish or Italians or, Poles, it sounds just as bad as what folks are saying now about immigrants. So we go through these cycles, these waves, and we kind of, we get real uptight about it. Ultimately, that's how America grows. It should be done legally, but let's not forget who we are and where we came from.